So last time I made a video about things I had to get used to in England. And I had enough things to make a cohesive story of. But this time I just have random things that I find weird. So here are random things I find weird in England. They have a lot of charity stores. And you might be thinking, why is that weird? But it's more weird because I'm not used to it. Like literally, if you go into Evesham, you see at least 5 in one street. What I mean with charity stores are stores that sell new and used things to raise money for a specific charity, which is like heart disease or homeless children or just about anything you can think of. There are so many of these, and the reason I find this weird is because in the Netherlands we only kind of have Leger des Heils, and that's also not something a lot of people go to. And here it's just really normal. So yeah, I find that weird. A lot of people here say 8:30 or 12:30 instead of 12:30, which is kind of logical because it's never 2:30 something. But the point is, for me, is you say 8:30, I think at 7:30. Because in the Netherlands, if you say 7:30, you mean it's 7:30. But they mean it's 8:30, which is very confusing. Another thing I find very confusing, just because I'm Dutch, are vowels. And I need to explain this one a little bit. So in the Netherlands, we say A. However, in England, you say A. But for us, A is E. But when you say E, I think of I. Do you get my drift? I had a situation in which we were looking up hometowns and someone was spelling the name of their hometown to me. And they kept saying E. I kept typing I. They literally had to take the keyboard from me because I couldn't type it like a normal person. So that's very confusing to me, and I actually heard that my Italian roommate has the same problem. So it might be a European thing. Totally unrelated. High beams. A lot of people here in England have their high beams up even when they're like behind you in the car, or like when they come towards you and they just don't put them down. And a lot of people just don't have them set correctly, so they're just set too high. They sometimes flash at me as well, but I have a Dutch car, so I can imagine that mine are not set correctly. But a lot of people in England just have really high lights, and it's really difficult to drive when because it's so dark. They don't really have a lot of street lights here because I'm in the middle of nowhere. So you get blinded a lot. But what I find just most annoying is people that put up their high beams when they're behind you. That's not very nice. So talking about cars, this is one that was just so confusing in the beginning. England doesn't have the brand Opel. However, they do have Opel cars. So I would see an Opel Corsa, and I was really sure it was an Opel Corsa because I recognized the car and I saw Corsa on the car. But it was not an Opel logo. However, when I pointed this out to an Australian friend of mine, she also didn't know what Opel was. So we ended up Googling it. And apparently, Opel cars in England are called Vauxhall. Opel cars in Australia are called Holden. And this is because Opel had acquired those brands, but the brand names were too strong in those countries to change them to Opel. So they just started making Opel cars under a different name, which was really confusing in the beginning. Talking about brand names, there are a lot of similar brands with different names. You might remember the ferry that I showed like way back in the beginning, which we call Dreft. And we also have Andrex, which we call Page, and we have this one. They call it Volkers, but we call it Lays. It's so confusing. Since I have this in my hands anyway, which is nice and annoying, these chips bags are really weird because you can't buy large bags of chips. You would think this is a normal just one bag of chips. But no, it's not. Because in this bag are all small bags. And that in itself isn't weird, because we have like small bags like this in big bags in the Netherlands, but we sell them in really big bags for when you have a kids party or you want to like give people like little snacks or something. But you can't buy normal sized chips bags. They're either like small or they're in multi-packs. It's so weird! And lastly, which is a really English one, because Australians find it really weird as well, are cloakrooms. You have toilets and WC's and like bathrooms and everything, washrooms, but no, they call them cloakrooms. Which is really confusing, because if you say cloakroom, I think of a room where you can put your cloak, you know, your jacket or your coat, but it's a bathroom, which is weird. So that was me rambling about random things I find weird in England. You might have a few yourself. Please let me know down in the comments if you have just random things that you found weird in England. I'm sure there are a lot more. I'm sure to encounter a lot more. So I will let you know if I have more of these weird things in the future. So if you want to stay up to date, please hit the subscribe button below so you will be notified, if you hit the bell at least. YouTube, you're weird. And if you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!